All right, folks, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I guess it depends on where you're joining us from this big blue marble. Welcome aboard, Brief, Full Throttle. I apologize. I think there was some confusion. Well, actually, it's on my end. I literally landed like 2 hours ago in an L-39. Did some flying this weekend, did some shooting, and I had 8 on the brain, but I think it was 7. So that's on me by everybody around. What are we going to talk about tonight? What is Full Throttle? First of all, folks, welcome to Top Gun Options. If you're new, we're going to talk about that, about who I am, about Top Gun Options, our background, our history, our ethos, all sorts of stuff. And it's going to be good. I'll share with you the flight schedule for the week, and I will be on time. How we did last year, which was just insane. Our trading and training methodology. Okay, you're here clearly because you want to take control of your financial future, take it to the next level, and push it up and go full throttle. So it's training, right? There's no such thing as education. The world's full of educated derelicts, and they're running our colleges and our institutions. Training gives you a skill, right? Fighter pilots are trained, doctors are trained. Lawyers are trained. Training gives you a skill, and that's what I'm going to do here at Top Gun Options. Also, tonight we're going to go through our proprietary 7-step trade plan. Okay, you should have gotten that once you opted in to the Full Throttle series, and hopefully you got a chance to page through that. We're going to go through it tonight because it's absolutely critical. If you're going to do any sort of trading, you need a plan, right? We have a saying: trading is a form of combat. When you think about it, right? Somebody's going to win, and somebody's going to get their rear handed to them. That's not who you want to be. So real quick, tonight's our welcome aboard brief. I do it on a Sunday night. Why? To get ready for the week. Market's closed. You know, when I did these welcome aboard briefs when the market was open, people are asking like trading questions. I'm like, you don't even know who I am yet, and you're asking me trading stuff. So do it on a Sunday night. Hopefully everybody gets their mind right and gets ready for the week. Tomorrow afternoon at noon, we're going to do our weekly options brief. Weekly options are tactical. They expire every Friday. So it's shorter term tactical trading. But that brief is also important because it kicks off the week, right? It's our first live trade brief of the week and kind of sets the tone. And this is going to be interesting, man. This is going to be a very, very interesting week. We saw the financials run up into earnings and then get hammered. That money leave, go over to big tech. I say run to Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon. So everybody ran to Ma, and we're going to see what's going to happen. And oh, by the way, February is going to be an absolute shit show. Excuse my French. I guarantee it. But with options, we're going to capitalize and profit off of that. Tuesday morning at 10, we do a primary brief, and we'll probably open our Full Throttle, what we call max slots. Okay, Full Throttle is actually a training and trading program, right? It's 8 live training sessions, and it's backed up with the live trade briefs, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Wednesday, actually, that's going to be noon. Let me fix that. That was an old time. At noon, we're going to do what's called accelerated retirement. So as you see, I'm giving you this is a free preview of everything that we have here at Top Gun Options. It's funny, people like, do you have trial? I'm like, no, we don't have a trial. It's Full Throttle. You're literally getting to see a live trade brief with current members. So everybody that is in there are current members, and we open the doors to our squadron, and you get to walk around and kick the tires, okay? And then Wednesday night at 8, we're going to get done, and I'm going to give you a sample of what that Full Throttle training is. Those 8 sessions, I'm going to pick a tactic, not a strategy. There's no such thing as an option strategy. It's a tactic, right? A strategy is, you ready for this? Strategic. It's high level. It's saving for college, short-term income generation, saving for retirement, whatever it is. Tactics, an iron condor, a leap, a bull put spread supports the strategy. So make sure we get those terms in a line. Right out of the gate, last year was insane for a lot of reasons, but very blessed last year. I've been doing this, it'll be 30 years in April. April 1991, commissioned as an ensign in the United States Navy, jumped in my ensign mobile and drove down to Naval Air Station Key West down here in Florida. And I remember writing I think it was $25 or I think it was $25 or $50 check to the USAA Aggressive Growth Mutual Fund. and I never looked back. In the 30 years I've been doing this, last year was insane. It was lights out, the best year of trading in my life. We had an absolute blast last year. Now, we'll talk about some of the stuff I do on the side, but it's time to put the ladder down, right? I mean, half this country, well, is literally imploding, and half is doing fantastic in this pandemic, and it's sad. And those two lines are diverging ever still. I feel bad about it, but hey, man, got to take care of you folks, and I got three little ones. They're not that little. So check this out. Why was last year lights out on January 22nd, folks? I'll never forget this. This really changed my life and a lot of people's lives in this room. I love seeing current members show up too. They come to these, even though this is kind of the welcome aboard for new folks. Sitting here, January 22nd, watching Donald Trump. He was over in Davos. Remember this? Last January. Every January, the beautiful people, all the limousine liberals hop on their jets, fly to Davos and talk about global warming, which is weird. Or just, it's their beautiful people get together, right? So Trump was over in Davos, and here was COVID, man. This thing that escaped, or maybe not, from a lab in Wuhan, China. I knew exactly what was coming, and a lot of friends, got folks in big buildings up in Washington, got buddies in hedge funds, have a very big, this thing I think is priceless, this phone and the network. So I knew what the president was being briefed. Hell, how about those senators? How about those 4 senators who got the briefings in January about, holy crap, this thing's going to be bad, and then went out and sold all their stock, and then also told all their friends to do the same thing, right? And they didn't get in trouble. You would have been thrown in jail. But January 22nd, let's get back on track. I sat here, Donald Trump, it was with, what's his name, Joe Kiernan, right? The CNBC guy. Towards the end of the interview, he's like, hey, what's this, this virus coming from China? And he's like, what are you, nuts? Why are you even asking me this? Why are you wasting my time? It's under control. Never get here. I trust Xi. Great. I turned from the TV and I looked into that camera and I said, get out. I said, get in cash, get long volatility, which I'll teach you about, and buy puts on the S&P 500. What happened? You guys know what happened. But right there, that's January 22nd. Okay, I'm going to show you the replay page. You can go watch this brief, because what happened? We imploded. Right? Look at that. Just rip your face off rally and then implosion. Right? And then people thought the all clear had sounded. Right? No, it's really not going to be that bad. Not me, folks. Actually, let me go. I saved this. So this page, actually bookmark this page. Let me click refresh. This page, it's go.topgunoptions.com/FT replay. I'm going to put this link in the chat box. Okay. Now, we're going to do a little bit of history, because I'm writing a book on what happened last year. We're in our last chapter. In all the research we've done, not one person nailed it. I nailed it to the day. And again, because here's what happened. Look at this. Here's February, 3 February. Warning, the markets are set to implode. The next day, dead bat bounce, right? Because that's exactly what happened. The market imploded and we kind of got airborne a little bit for a couple weeks. I said, do not believe it. It's called a dead cat bounce in Wall Street terms. I called it a dead bat bounce because it sounds like a bat from one of the labs went to the wet market and it's out. Look at this. New bearish trades on China and Apple. Holy crap, man. 5 February, accelerated retirement. Get long volatility, buy VIX calls, grab the popcorn and your mask. I was saying back here, I'm like, remember, Fauci hadn't even come out yet. They're like, oh, masks are stupid. And they don't. Oh my God. So here's Wiz saying to get a mask. And then look at this, man. The last bearish China, it was insane. Okay. We shorted China. We shorted Brazil. We shorted the market. And what did the so-called, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it's all down here. This screen was frozen. Here you go. 3 February. Market set to implode. I just read it all to you. It's on this page. You can go look at it yourself. Nailed it. To the day, and we made absolute history here at Top Gun Options. It was fantastic. We turned literally little old ladies in tennis shoes into millionaires. We made multi-millionaires here at Top Gun Options. It was I can't even. It's shocking to me. Now, I don't want to strain my arm, pat myself on the back because you know we predicted what I call the Fred Sanford, the big one. But I am going to point out to you this. Let me go back a screen. What did the smart money, right? First of all, that term is over with. There is no Wall Street anymore. First of all, Goldman Sachs, I think JP Morgan, Stevie Cohen already did. They're all coming to Palm Beach. Wall Street's done. There is no Wall Street anymore. It's, Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio have more or less taken care of that. So what did all the smart money tell you to do on the way down? Let me give you an example. Oh, this is the bottom. Oh, I'd buy the dip. I'm going to nibble here. This is it. Oh, look at that rally. Oh, no, this is definitely the bottom. I'd add it to. They, all the way down, they were telling you to do what? Buy, 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 buy. They were saying buy all the way down. You know why? First of all, because they suck. Second of all, because they're long only. I did research years ago when I was in Chicago, about 10,000 hedge funds. When we dug into it, only about 500 out of 10,000 traded options or were short. Most hedge funds are what? Buy and hold. Leon Cooperman, you name the quote smart money, they were on CNBC, Fox Business, and Bloomberg the whole time saying buy, buy, buy all the way down. Not me. I said they're wrong. Absolutely wrong, right? So there is no such thing as a smart money. As a matter of fact, this is the year of the retail trader. Robinhood, all these folks are beating the smart money. That there are hedge fund managers who can't even outperform or keep in line with the S&P 500, right? So now let's on that disclaimer on one of those slides, it says what? Past performance is not a good indicator of future results. That was insanity last year. Clearly, I got the bottom within, I think, 0.06 seconds in March. I thought we were going to W, implode, bounce, and implode. So I was betting that we were going to implode again at the bottom. And what happened? It was a Thursday morning. It was the weekly jobless claims came out and was 6 million. I was stunned. But what stunned me even more was within 0.06 seconds of that announcement, Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve came out and said, we're just going to drop a financial nuke into the market. And then what happened? We never looked back. But also what happened? The smart money who missed all the way down was, look at Jeffrey Gundlach. Jeffrey Gundlach, $150 billion double line capital. In April, he said, we're going back down to the March lows. I'm short. The smart money missed the up too. So at the end of the day, folks, don't ever use that term, what? Smart money. Yeah, April 9th was the day capitalism died. You're right, Goose. Okay, so just fantastic. And 2021 is going to be great. I don't know if I can perform at the same. That was lights out trading last year. But guess what? That's what we do, right? So 2021 is going to be great. Well, quick review of last year. The weekly options portfolio was about $409,000 in profit. These started with as $100,000 model portfolios. Thank you, Sandra. Wiz is a smart money. I appreciate that. We are. Solo Amazon, 136 grand. Primary brief was 491. And then this is funny. Accelerated retirement is like supposed to be the more conservative and longer dated. Nearly $1 million in the retirement. Raise your hand if you would have minded making that last year in your retirement. Okay. That was insane. Okay. So again, it was insane. I think, what was it, March? It was February, one of those months. It was $2.1 million in profit. That was profit. It was insane. Okay, but again, let's be present. Namaste. All right, so let's get airborne. No distractions. No football. Silence your electronic nicotine and sit up straight in your chair. Make sure you got a pen and a piece of paper. You should have a trade journal, man. Go to Staples tomorrow, Office Depot, whatever. Get a nice leather journal because you're going to be taking a lot of notes. Okay, my promise to you, I'm going to give you an up-to-date intelligence brief every live trade brief starts with an intelligence brief. I don't start a live trade brief with, hey, here's what I'm going to trade today. That's insane. We got to go SOT. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Strategic, operational, and then we can trade and get tactical. But we got to know what's going on, man. Taiwan, do you see 15 Chinese fighters or bombers, whatever, started penetrating the Taiwan ADIZ, the Air Defense Identification Zone? Week one of Joe Biden's presidency, and the Chinese are already looking to take back Taiwan. We're sitting here fat, dumb, and happy just because our media, who are awful, aren't talking about something doesn't mean it's not happening. As we're sitting here, there are dudes underground in Iran building a nuclear weapon. Just because nobody's talking about it in the United States doesn't mean they all right, nobody's looking at us, let's all go home until they care. So, up-to-date intelligence briefs. I'm going to train you how to employ options. This is not rocket surgery, folks. A poor kid from South Jersey, political science major, knuckle-dragging fighter pilot. If I can do this, you can do it. We have tons of people here in all walks of life, folks, and it's pretty cool. It's humbling, actually. Show you what we're going to target for max profit, especially throughout the year, man. We're starting to how about the other day? Democrat governors are like, we can't keep everybody locked down. It'll destroy the economy. We're not even going to, I can't. And how to turn potential panic into profit, okay? Real quick, if you're not familiar with who I am, Matthew Buckley, my call sign's Wiz. Fairly certain my parents love me. They didn't name me Wiz. Unfortunately, I earned that call sign as a fighter pilot in the United States Navy. Let's just say the call signs usually aren't endearing, and I'll leave it at that. So we will take no questions about how I earned my call sign. Flew the Hornet, graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School, which many of you know as Top Gun, as an adversary pilot. So I was a good bad guy, right? Our jets were painted like enemy MiGs, and we went out and flew bad guy tactics against good guys, getting them and gals, getting them ready to go overseas. How'd I go from the cockpit to the trading pit? Essentially, as a young kid, I'm a beach guy. Need an ocean, everything. Loved the beach, loved aviation. My parents instilled that service above self in me, so I wanted to serve my country. So that kind of Reese's peanut butter cup. Navy, wanted to join the Navy and be a naval aviator. But I was always interested in finance. My dad, he'd be in his coat and tie, getting ready to go into work in Atlantic City in the morning. And on the back of the paper, I'm staring at all these little hieroglyphics. And I said, what's that? And he said, those are stocks. And he just kind of explained that to me. Like, hey, man, if you go get a Happy Meal today and you owned stock in McDonald's, you could make money off that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So always kind of sat in the background. But how did I really go from the cockpit to the trading pit? Unfortunately, it's a tragedy. Unlike Democrats and the media, who say the darkest day in our nation's history was January 6th when people broke windows, this was one of the darkest days in American history. On the morning of September 11th, I was scheduled for my first flight as a pilot for American Airlines, man. Was packing to go on the trip. TV, plane hit the World Trade Center. I'm like, okay, it's got to be small airplane or bad weather. Nope. Beautiful day, big smoking hole. As I'm standing there going through my aviation mental checklist of how that could have happened, the second plane hit. I immediately knew we were under attack. And I had an old 89 911 Porsche, man. I think I broke the land speed record getting out to Naval Air Station, Fort Worth, Texas. I made it out there along with one other squadron mate before they closed the air station. Nobody else could get on. We had 4 F-18s. I said, get them ready, Chief. We ran next door to the F-16 squadron. The SPADs, Air Force Reserve Squadron, they were tied into NORAD, and 4 of their pilots had made it out there as well. And we were standing in their command post briefing. They actually had to loan us bullets and missiles. We didn't have any. We're a poor Navy squadron in the middle of Texas. And as we're briefing, it was like Lexington and Concord, man. As we're briefing to get airborne, the Pentagon got hit. It was just absolute. It was insane. It was awful, clearly, as everybody in this room knows. It was awful. A couple days later, I actually made national news. I took off. I was scrambled, launched on an alert when some old guy who thought the airspace was open got airborne and was flying near their prohibited airspace. I think they had a airborne White House over Crawford. And I put this old man and his grandkid into a grass strip. So there you go. But about a week and a half after that, when I got hired by American Airlines, the chief pilot signed in ink and color stationery, welcome aboard, and all that type of stuff. A couple weeks after the attack, I got a photocopied letter from HR at American Airlines saying, "Dear crew member, you're furloughed," and it was off center. It looks they just copied it and put it in the mail. So I lost everything in the blink of an eye. Clearly, not as much as the people who died, but hey, man, I was married at the time. Young boy, my son Matthew, right there, who's 20 years old right now. What do you do? Immediately got kicked right in the gut. Really hadn't a lot of savings after I got off active duty, and what savings I had, I put as a down payment on the house. So guess what I did, man? Something that had been a hobby for me up until that point became my full time. Let's go, man. You kind of trade in the background and like making money. Now you're doing it, and it's time to go full throttle. So it was insane. All I did, folks, was I applied what I was doing as a fighter pilot to trading. This isn't high science. It's not physics, man. Having a strategy, implementing tactics, contingency planning, asking what could go wrong before you start executing something. So when it does go wrong, you're ready for it, right? Just this is all common sense stuff that I was doing in the military, and I applied it to my trading, and shocker, it works freaking well because trading is a form of combat, folks. My trading worked so well that I popped up on the radar of one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms on the face of the planet. You see that this clearly is the CBOT, right? The Chicago Board of Trade. Those big beautiful windows, that's our trading floor, man. So I went up to the big leagues, man. I jumped the fence from little old retail trader, and I went up to this firm, and it was the best time of my life. I helped build a hedge fund. I helped build the retail brokerage that you know as Options House, and just it was a blast. I jokingly tell people that I felt like Eddie Murphy in Trading Places, and that's literally what it was. I found out early on that the smart money clearly is not that smart. They put their pants on the same way that we do, and there's really nothing special about them. As a matter of fact, most of the retail traders I know, I'd take any day over a quote professional trader. So I was the managing director of strategy for this $2.5 billion firm, and then I started my own financial media company underneath that umbrella. It was called the Options News Network, ONN.TV. We had a blast. It was essentially the CNBC for options. I know John and Pete Najarian, they try and pay lip service to options on CNBC, and they do a good job, but we were dedicated 24/7. I hosted a couple of the shows, and it was a blast. But again, Chicago, great people, good steak, wine. You can keep it, man. 9 months out of the year, misery. I'm a beach and ocean guy, so I'm down here in God's waiting room in Boca Raton, Florida. In my spare time, I do some charity work. I'm on the Broward Sheriff's Advisory Council. I think law enforcement got the shaft last year, and that's unsat. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, I lost a sister, my sister Monica, at 19 years old to a drunk driver at Villanova University. So very near and dear to my heart is I'm with MAD and like raising a lot of money to help victims because 1982 she died, and I think MAD started in 1982. We were pretty alone, and it devastated my family and changed the arc of my life. And finally this year, putting down the ladder, I started a foundation called the Top Gun Fighter Foundation. Actually, you know what? These pictures are right here. I'm still trying to write my letter for the website on the foundation. That's one of my best friends, Eric Swenson, Swede, waiting for me as I came down the A4 on my last flight before I got my wings. One of the best buds in my life. Wife, 4 beautiful daughters, put a bullet in his head last year. Lost another guy 2 years ago. Lost a guy on active duty. Since 2008, we've lost more soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, and Coast Guardsmen home due to suicide than we did in combat. We lose one veteran an hour. During our talk tonight, a vet will kill him or herself, and it's awful. The VA sucks. Donald Trump did his best, but it's awful. So I'm doing my best, man. I'm trying to help folks out. Okay. Now, I'm also a little bipolar, and here's what I mean. This week, you're going to see me. There's two me's. there's me like that in my flight suit, and I'm going to tell you how I feel as an American about stuff. And then I'm going to put on a $10,000 Armani suit like Gordon Gekko and make money, right? There are sometimes like we call hold your nose trades. I can't stand Apple. I can't stand Tim Cook. They use slave labor to build an iPhone. Uh, Google Apple suicide nets, China, and see what comes up on Google. They put these kids in like dorms who made your iPhone, and they have nets on each floor so people can't jump out and commit suicide. I trade the hell out of Apple. Can't stand the company. So I got a little go back and forth going on here with man, but at the end of the day, I'm here to train you to take control, to be the pilot in command of your own portfolio and profit. Okay, so little bipolarness out of me. Okay, how do we trade options? You know what? Actually, let me ask. Let's do a quick poll here. I'm going to launch this. What is your launch? What is your options knowledge? Okay, dude, I'm brand new. What's an option? What's a call? What's a put? I know calls and puts. Hey, I do spreads, or I'm a Jedi Master, man. Okay, I'm going to play some Jeopardy music. So let's go ahead. How many people voted? Come on. This is not a Dominion voting system here, so it will be accurate. Man, I got that right too. Whew. This whole last year, I said what? I predicted Donald Trump would win on election night, which he did, and then would lose in the coming weeks. I said that 10, 15 times. That's exactly what happened. All right, a couple more seconds. I'm new. I know what calls and puts are. I trade spreads, or I'm a Jedi Master. Okay, about 5 seconds. Only half of you have voted. Are the other half of you watching the football game? Jordan, good question. Wiz, would you recommend doing some covered calls and cash secured puts to save up some money before we do more advanced tactics? I think that's a great idea. We will talk about that. All right, let me close and share this. So this is your fellow folks in this room. I think we have nearly 1,000 people registered for this full throttle week, which is fantastic. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to gear kind of this week to the greenish bluish. Tonight I will be a little bit more basic for the 7% down there, and then the Jedi Masters can kind of stay with us. How to trade options. First thing you need to do is do not trade options if you don't know what you're doing. Hold on, let me close that poll. Let me close this, sorry. Hide, there we go. All right, so step one, folks, seriously, don't. This is why you're here, though. If you don't know how to trade options, or you currently do, or you know what you're doing and you want to get better, that's just like the motto of Top Gun, the best of the best, but we're going to make you better. Because you get wiped out, right? If you don't know what you're doing, okay? I will repeat because I want you to hear it. The easy money, last year, I've never seen anything like it. It was easy the whole way down. It was insane. There were some days, 100 grand. And watching these idiots like, oh, I buy the dip here. I'm like, misery loves company. We're going lower. So this year is going to be a lot more interesting. So last year was easy. This year, I'm not going to say it's going to be hard, but we'll talk. But when you have a Federal Reserve chief, Jerome Powell, sat for a 60 Minutes interview and said, I just make money. I hit enter on a computer and we make money. It was insane. I think that clip's going to live for history. So we have a Federal Reserve who's propping up the market, and a Janet Yellen, the old Fed chief, now is Treasury Secretary. So it is there's a lot of liquidity in here, man. Remember Alan Greenspan, right? Alan Greenspan, chairman of the Fed, one day in front of Congress, he said those famous words. He said, the market is undergoing irrational exuberance, which we're in right now. And then what happened? The market continued to go up for 3 years. So it's going to be interesting, but that's why you're here. The first thing you have to do before you trade an option is actually do what we call paper trading. In a training environment, I actually use paper trading accounts because I don't want to I can't give you an individual investment advice. That's not even something I want to do. So what do? Open a paper trading account. E-Trade has it. everybody has a paper trading account. Get 100 grand of monopoly money in it, and you have to learn by doing. If you just jump in and start firing real money, you're going to crash. That makes no sense. That's like me reading a book on aerodynamics, running out to the jet and trying to get airborne. I'd crash. What do? We go to the simulator building. We spend hours upon hours in the simulator building. And the simulators today, the fidelity is insane. You can join up on a guy in a simulator and he's got like a mustache and he's waving at you. I mean, it's insane. And they're linked. You can fight a dude on the other side of the world in a simulator. You have got to paper trade. I'm telling you, paper trade, paper trade, paper trade. Do not squeeze the trigger and launch real capital if you haven't done the paper trading. Okay. And then once you sign up tomorrow, Wednesday, or whenever it is, 8 full throttle sessions. We're going to do these towards the end of the month. I do them on like Tuesday, Thursday nights, 7 o'clock, grab a glass of wine, and we sit here and we're going to take that building block approach. I'm going to go from this is a call, this is a put, to session 8. We're talking advanced spreads. Okay. There it is right there. We take a building block approach, trading methodology, thank God for the United States Navy, because I stole all this stuff from the Navy. The Navy can take somebody who's never even seen an airplane before and in a short amount of time turn them into a steely-eyed fighter pilot. That same training methodology is what I'm going to do to you. You don't know what the hell an option is. By the end of these 8 sessions, you're going to be a Jedi Master. Okay, so real quick for the 7% who are like, I don't even know what options are. You use options every day. So let's start with what is a call, right? There's calls and there's puts. So what are call options? I love using this example. I was maybe thinking about getting a place out in Aspen, but not. But this was one of the places. Look at that. Beautiful place, Aspen. Let's say you fly out to Aspen and you're house hunting. You found this place. Day one, you found this place. And you're like, man, I want this one. I think this is it, but I'm here for a month to house hunt. Maybe I should continue to look around. Well, crap, what if they sell this one? Well, here's what you could do, right? You could go to the owner and say, I want you for the next 30 days to take this house off the market and I'll pay you. Let's say I'll pay you 25 grand for 30 days to keep this house off the market. And I reserve the right to buy this house at, let's just say, $1 million. It was a hell of a lot more than that, but $1 million. What did I just do? That's a call option, folks. Let's look at and a call and a put it's a contract. It's an agreement, right? So what do most contracts have? A date. I just said 30 days, right? Agreed upon price, $1 million, and then some sort of premium, a credit or a debit. In this case, I got 25 grand out of my pocket, gave it to the owner who got it as a credit. That's a call option right there, folks. If you've ever been sitting here your whole life like, man, I should learn how to trade options, that 45-second explanation is half the battle. You ready for this? Let's talk about a put option, right? Let's stick with the call option example for now. 2 things happen, or 2 things can happen. Let's say during the 30 days, Jesus, Buddha, Ganesh, and Muhammad come back to life and they buy like the house next to you, and that house goes up and like it's worth $100 million, right? Oh my God, you have a contract to be able to buy it at $1 million, right? That 25 grand that you came out of pocket, that option, that piece of paper for you to be able to buy that house for $1 million is probably worth, let's just say, I don't know, $750,000. I'm making numbers up, meaning that piece of paper, that contract has gone through the roof. Right? Now you could either exercise your contract and buy the house for $1 million, which would be a good idea, or you could transfer that contract, get out of it, right? Buy it, sell it, move it. Okay. That's it. That is a call option. Now, let's talk about the bad. During the 30 days, the Colorado governor comes out and says, we're putting a nuclear waste dump right next to you in that empty lot. The price of the house goes to zero. I mean, it's essentially worthless. Do you have to buy the house? Nope. You're just out your 25 grand and go, oh, thank God, I'm only out 25 grand. Okay. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's calls. That's essentially, I love reading books on options every once in a while and reading explanations. I'm like, oh my God, why make this harder than it is? Now, let's talk about puts. Puts, folks. Well, first of all, this is also why you're here. What are the three assets that Americans own? The vast majority of Americans own these three things. They own what? A home, a car, and what else? Some sort of portfolio, right? Some sort of investment, a 401k or IRA or something, right? So Americans insure two of those things, right? Your car and your home. As a matter of fact, in many states, it's required, right? You get car insurance and home insurance. People don't protect their portfolios, however. So I'm going to teach you trading options. But a put option protects you from something going down, right? If you buy puts, you think something might be going down and you can actually make money off of it. So all the idiots in January and February, like, oh, I'd buy the dip here. What was I saying to do? Buy some puts, buy some insurance that things are going to go down. Now, it's a little bit more to puts than that, but that's a good 1 minute explanation. Calls, usually you think something's going up. Puts, you usually think something's going down. Obviously, there's a lot of nuances underneath that, but you'll learn that in full throttle training. So for the 7% who are new, sitting here like, oh man, what did I get myself into? Hopefully that helps. It ain't hard. If you can understand those two concepts, that's the DNA, that's the building block, and we can make you better. Now, newsflash, stocks can go to zero. Options can't. I mean, they're the premium and stuff like that we'll talk about, but my point being this: stocks. I traded the dot-com boom, man. I bought, what was it called? E-lottery. I'll never forget this. It would buy lottery tickets in all 50 states. It was a website, right? Anything with the .com in 1999. I bought it like $15, down to 10, down to 9, 8, 7, down to 0. I think I got, somebody sent me a check for like 5 cents one time. So stocks can go to zero, right? And stocks cost a lot of money, right? You have to put out a huge chunk of capital. Well, it depends on the stock, obviously, but to buy 100 shares of Amazon, right, $1 million or whatever it is, you don't need that with an option, right? Because you're getting the right to buy or sell something, right? That contract, that piece of paper is the right to buy or sell something. If you want to buy the whole house, you got to come out $1 million. But if you want to trade, I have a buddy who was a yacht. He still is actually. He's a yacht broker. The dude's never owned a yacht. He trades them. He'll, I don't know where I got to ask him. You know, $10 million feed ship or whatever it is, right? It takes 2-3 years to build. But guess what happens during that 2 to 3 years? It goes up in value, like to $15 or $17 million. Guess what happens? He just trades the option on that and gets out. The dude's never had a boat in his life, and he trades yacht options. It's insane. Okay, real quick reminder, we lose some battles. I mean, the first half of this brief was what? Everything was awesome last year. What? No, it wasn't. I had a ton of losing trades. When we turned at the bottom, I had some bearish positions. When that $6 million jobs lost on that Thursday morning came out, I went from the screen to like, oh, I'm going to get more bearish. And then the Fed dropped the bomb and the market went up. I had to bail out of a bunch of bearish trades and I got kicked in the teeth a little bit. So the objective is to win the war, but we lose some battles, man. Losing trades happen. If you go to one of these briefs and the lady or the dude just talks about how much they're winning trades and this and we're printing money, run. They're full of shit. It's physically impossible not to have losing trades. Now, clearly, you want to have more winning trades than losing trades, but this metric often shocks people. Professional traders, the folks I worked with up in Chicago, 60% of the time is their target win rate. Why? Because they know over time you're making money. I usually ask people to give me what percentage, people want to win. I see people put 100%, at 90. I'm like, oh my God, man, get ready to, is it Fed ship? Thank you, Sherry. See, I clearly don't have a big boat. But there are unknown unknowns. I couldn't stand this man, Donald Rumsfeld, but he had a good quote. He was talking about war, but it's the same thing in trading. He said in war, in trading, there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. Then he said there are known unknowns. There are things we know that we don't know. And then he said there are also unknown unknowns, things we don't know that we don't know, right? Who I remember sitting in. I flew up to South Bend to give a keynote before the pandemic really hit. When was this? I went to beautiful St. Joe's, Michigan, man. Beautiful St. Joe's, Michigan. Has their favorite daughter from St. Joe's, Michigan. Drove back to South Bend, sitting in the airport. It was a Sunday. My phone literally exploded. What happened? Friday, Mnuchin, as former Treasury Secretary, and Ambassador Lighthizer, the trade rep, over in China. We're just talking about what dressing we're going to have at Mar-a-Lago at the signing ceremony. Trade war's over with. Rip your face off rally. What happened Sunday? Lighthizer picked up the phone and called President Trump and said, they're kind of dragging their feet because they think you're going to get impeached. You might not even make it to the end of your term. And they think Biden's going to win, and they're going to get better from him. He said, get on a plane and come home now. What happened Monday? The market imploded. Okay. That was a missile I did not see coming. I remember Mnuchin saying that. We're 90% of the way there. 90%. Donald Trump, get on an airplane. The futures imploded, the market imploded. So there's an example of a big losing. I didn't know that was going to happen. So that happens, folks. How you deal with that type of thing is going to define you as a trader. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some required reading real quick. And I kind of added this to my full throttle stuff, and it seemed to go over well. When Genius Failed, please order this book. Please order this book. You don't have to read it this week or during our training. It is a must. Okay, it talks about the rise and fall of long-term capital management. It is a fantastic read. Read it. It gives you an idea and read it because it also shows you behind the curtain the so-called smart money and how they're not so smart. Liar's Poker. Yeah, I'll leave this up for a second so you can. Hey, real quick reminder, folks. I think in the window that you're looking at right now, there's a little camera icon at the top, and if you push that, it'll take a screenshot and save it to your desktop, so you don't have to scribble stuff. Great read. When I got to Chicago, the owner of the firm gave me this book, and he's like, "You have to read this before you start." I read it 2 days straight, and I was like, "Wow!" Again, a look into Wall Street, and this is a good one too. A little bigger. But the myth of the rational market. That's a good one. Okay. Now, again, just take a screenshot, but I think you need to read these. Now, this is going to shock some of you, but this is also required reading. The Power of Now. How many of you have read this? I mean, I found it, last year? I think it changed my life, and I'm not some weird Scientologist, man, or something like that. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Why am I, dude, this brief took a hard right turn or left turn or whatever you want to say. No, not really. Because you have to be grounded. You have to be centered. You can't trade nuts. It's like flying. I flew 3 times today. Trading is a form of combat, folks. So you have to have this warrior type of poet mentality. When things are going against you, or the market, or this, or a trade, you got to be able to remain calm and centered. Okay, and trust me, there's no way on God's green earth that 5-10 years ago, if I looked into the future and saw this guy, I wouldn't know who I am. To be honest with you, I meditate. I go to hot yoga with my beautiful partner, who's just one of the best teachers on the face of the planet, who actually helped center me in all of this stuff. So I meditate now. Well, I missed it this weekend. I was supposed to. I'm going to a damn meditation retreat. It's 2 weekends. I'm telling you, folks, it's changed my life, and I get it. It's funny. I'm telling you, if old me saw new me, I'd kick my own ass. changed my life 5 years ago. Just hit rock bottom in different areas, and I'm like, you know what? I need to unfornicate myself. Found hot yoga, found meditation, and you know what? I found myself, and that's made me a phenomenal trader. Just ask me. It's also made me a better man and a better person. I'm a freaking work in progress, and if I'm not going to be better than I am tomorrow or today, then why even get up? So, but please take that to heart. Order a couple of those books. Just grab the Power Now, man, and I reread it. Sitting over there, I reread the thing, and I take a pen and I make notes. Did anyone die? What the hell's that? Why is this on the slide? Because in Chicago, folks, I remember people running into my office, or oh my God, Wiz, this is, or the quotes aren't working. We're not getting quotes from the Philadelphia Exchange to the floor, and we're losing. I'm like, is anybody dead? They're like, what? I'm like, did anybody die? And they're like, no. I'm like, then relax. Okay. At the end of the day, folks, I come from a profession where if you made a mistake, you died. 17. I've been to more memorial services than I care to think about. 17. I think I've buried 17 brothers and a sister. The first female Navy fighter pilot, Kara Holtgreen. So it can always, if nobody died, everything's fine. You're going to get through it, right? It can always be worse. Again, I'm shocked that this is even in my Full Throttle stuff now, but it is because it makes sense. Okay. All right. How to trade options, FMT. You find, because people was, how do you even know where to start? I like acronyms, folks. FMT. Find. Let's find a trade. How are we going to find what a good name to trade? You're going to get it in a couple minutes. Our 7-step trade plan. M. Manage. If you learn nothing this week other than how to manage risk, I've succeeded. You have got to manage risk. I bump into, or before we were all thrown in COVID prison, I used to bump into people. Oh, I trade too. I'm in this trade. I'm like, how much can you lose? It's up a little bit. I didn't ask you that. What is your max risk in that trade? And people don't like getting asked that. I'm like, I'm going to teach you, just like Pavlov's dog, man. Every time we set up a trade this week, the first thing we're going to look at is max potential loss. What is the max risk in this trade? And if it's unacceptable or like, holy crap, you're not doing it or you're doing less, right? Manage risk. This is a wizism that sounds stupid, but it's actually quite brilliant. You can't make money if you're losing money. Let that one sink in. T, trade. Find, manage, trade. Okay, that's what we're going to do. At the end, by Wednesday night, literally you should feel like this. We call it drinking from a fire hose, okay? You should feel like this. That's understandable. Don't let that discourage you. I remember starting yoga and looking around the room like, oh my God, these people are bent in the pretzels and I can't even touch my toes, right? It's a journey. It's a process. You should feel like this. And eventually you're going to be taking a sip of that water, okay? Real quick, intelligence sources. You're the smart money, folks. This smartphone, this computer, you wouldn't believe how level the playing field is between you and Leon Cooperman or some other head and Jeffrey Gunlock, right? Now, if you've watched Billions, and I think that is a great series to watch, Billions, and it'll really give you an idea of Wall Street and the type of folks. The playing field is completely level. We had a research team up at that firm, and this one guy, he was a Microsoft analyst. The dude was paid a lot of money to know everything about Microsoft. I remember him getting earnings completely wrong a couple times. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? But that just goes to show you that it's a level playing field. You are the smart money. I'm going to show you online, print and everything throughout the week, and also TV. So I'm going to show you my intelligence sources and where we gather stuff. Okay, let's get cruising because I want to finish on time. Our methodology, folks, is simple. It's this: SOT, strategic, operational, tactical. This is how you trade. Whether it's options or stock or whatever, this is how you trade. Most of you in this room tonight, the average retail trader are very tactical, right? You don't even know what you're doing tomorrow for lunch, let alone what stock to trade or how long or any things. You're very, very tactical. The other reason I do the welcome aboard brief on a Sunday night is because doing it during, maybe if I did it tomorrow, people in the chat box like, oh, I'm done with all this stuff. Let's talk trades, or what about this? I'm like, oh my God, man, we'd even take a look at what's going on around the globe, right? So every one of my briefs, we have to take a look at what's going on around the globe, economically, politically, militarily. Remember when Putin invaded Crimea, shot down an airliner? Donald Trump killed General Soleiman. Remember, all these things happen. I'm going to make a prediction right now. In the next 4 years, maybe even sooner, China will retake Taiwan. That technically, we have a defense of Taiwan agreement, don't we? Do you think Joe Biden's going to go to war with China over Taiwan? It's not going to happen. Donald Trump failed and let Hong Kong more or less slip away. There's no Hong Kong. It is China. Why am I rambling about this? Because you have to be looking around the globe. If you're just sitting here tactical trading and all of a sudden breaking news overseas, you could lose money if you're not paying attention. So we'll maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes in a brief looking around the globe. Then we're going to peel the onion, man. We're going to go a couple layers deep and then get operational and take a look at what's going on here in the United States. How are earnings looking? What's the jobs report? What's the Fed chief saying? Interest rate. I mean, we'll talk America and talk about what's going on here, right? Or in DC, with politics, you have got to keep an eye on DC, especially us as investors. Democrats want to tax unrealized earnings. That doesn't even make sense. You're up 100 grand in Apple in your brokerage account. They're going to tax you on that. Well, what if it goes down the next day? Yeah, well, they haven't thought that far. So we have got to keep an eye on politics here in the United States. And then, and only then, folks, can we trade, right? Then and only then can we trade. Strategic, operational, tactical. Okay, we're going to rifle through this and we're going to be good to go. 7-step trade plan. I love this because it was taken from the skies over Iraq and taken to Chicago and hammered, and this thing works. 7-step trade plan: strategic mindset, target, commit, tactic, employment, mid-course guidance, exit plan. Seems like a lot. It isn't, and it flows nicely, okay? I love this because I remember when I was a young trader embryo, and I'd hear a guy up on stage or like, well, you need a trade plan. You have to trade with a trade plan. I'm like, do you have one? Can I see yours? Okay, next question. I'm like, what? What's a trade plan? Here it is. Like I said, trading is a form of combat. You need a plan. Step 1, before you place any trade, you have to figure out what you are. What's that mean? Are you bullish, bearish? You think we're just going to whip all over the place, volatile, or are you neutral, like the market's just going to move sideways, right? You can have variations of that, right? I'm cautiously bullish. I've used that a lot lately, right? Right now, this market's playing musical chairs. Everybody's kind of looking around the room going, we know a crash is coming, and when it happens, it's going to be violent. So cautiously bullish. You gotta dance to the music that's being played, but ready to eject and then get bearish, okay? So step 1 in your trade plan, and write it down over there. I write stuff down, folks. There's something to be said about picking up a pen and writing this stuff down. Okay, step 1, strategic mindset. I'm bullish. Step 2, what's the target? What am I going to trade? The stock, the ETF, or the index, right? What am I going to trade? That's the target. Why do I say write it down? I'm not a Word doc guy or an Excel guy. There's folks out there who type their trade plans up. Knock yourself out. I'm a writer. Why? Because let's say we're doing a month trade. It's a 30-day trade. And 2 weeks in, it's going against me. What do? I grab my trade plan and I come back and I look at it. First of all, it's my handwriting, right? So that's me. Oh, geez, I said I'd get out or do this, and this if this happened. It's happening. It forces you to be, look at the top of the slide, disciplined. Okay? So let's actually move on to the biggest part of the trade plan. Step 3, commit criteria. Literally, why are you committing capital to this trade? Why are you in it? This might seem so basic. This is the step that folks, retail traders, do not do. Why are you in this trade? You need to write down 3 to 5 sentences, man. I call it, your the cocktail party pitch or the elevator pitch, right? If I got on an elevator with you on the 30th floor by the lobby, man, hit me with 3 to 5 sentences why you're in a trade. When that door opens, I got to look at you and go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not in that. That's fantastic. 3 to 5 sentences, hardcore. This is why. This is my money, folks. Why are you committing your money to this trade? Write it down, 3 to 5 sentences. Now, let's talk about this. If people aren't good with getting commit criteria, they're even worse with this. What if one of those 3 to 5 sentences changes? 2 weeks into the trade, I go back and look at my commit criteria. I'm like, whoa, those 2 sentences aren't valid anymore. Eject, get out of the trade. Discipline, risk management, that gets you superior execution. But if you go back to your trade plan and look at the commit criteria and go, man, none of that's valid anymore, but I'm going to stay in it. You're the pilot in command. Now you really, really own it, okay? You read your own words and they're not valid anymore. You going to stay in that trade? Right? Folks, in trading, you want to let your winners run and cut your losers short. Many of you let your losers run and cut the winners short. You're inverted. This is the biggest step, folks. But you can do that. There are times when my commit criteria has changed in a trade, but look at the bottom word on that slide, momentum. There are some times where something has changed and it's like, yeah, it's changed, but in this type of market, when things are nuts, it could just be momentum. So I'm going to use this term often with you, PIC. You're the pilot in command. When I went to maintenance in the squadron, I literally read the book of the aircraft, the oil, the fuel, hydraulic, the last page, there's a place for you to sign your name with the date and your rank. You owned the airplane. You are the pilot in command of your portfolio. So if your commit criteria change and you're like putting a cigar in your mouth and a scarf out the canopy, that's on you, man. If it works, great. If not, it's on you. Okay, step 4. Now we can pick the tactic. Again, it's not a strategy. There's no such thing. I love when dudes or ladies say that, like, this option strategy is an iron condor. I'm like, you're an idiot, because it's not. It's a tactic. How do we pick the tactic? Well, we know what our strategic mindset is, and we know our commit criteria. Then we can pick the tactic. The tactics aren't complex, folks. I just gave you 2 minutes of this is a call, this is a put. If you understand that, you're good to go. So step 4 is simply where we go, this is the trade we're going to do. Okay? A bull put spread, an iron condor, a diagonal. I think in the options pocket checklist you got, I think there's 32 tactics in there. I think I trade about 6, if that. I know people like to do these exotic type of options trades. I'm like, I can do the same thing, but kind of different. it's a lot easier. So I'm not going to make it complicated. Step 5, tactical employment. Okay, we got our tactic. Now, how are we going to do it? This is how we set up the trade. In the briefs tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm going to set a trade up. I'm going to buy these. I'm going to sell these at this much money. It's what we call individual legs of a trade, okay? It's simply the trade, okay? We're going to take a look at a trade. I'm going to say I'm going to sell this. I'm going to buy this at this price. It's the employment of our tactic, okay? Step 6 is kind of mid-course guidance. Like I said, I never dropped a bomb in anger, and kind of closed my eyes and said, man, I hope that hits bad guys, right? It needs, it needs to be managed, right? So this is where we ask, what if? What if this happens during the life of this trade? What happens if that happens, right? Folks, we ask what if during the brief. This is why these are called briefs, right? If you've ever, like today, the 3 flights that I did in a tactical light attack jet were pretty damn quiet. Why? Because we briefed before the flight. We sat in there and talked through everything we were going to do. We even talked through emergencies. Hey, if this happens, we'll do this. So the only reason to ever come up on the radio during a flight like that is if something doesn't go as briefed. Folks, I don't decide what I'm going to do if I get shot at by a surface air missile over Syria when I get shot at by a surface air missile over Syria. I already made that decision, sitting in the air conditioning in my tent on the ship, sipping on my venti upside down caramel macchiato. I already know. I chair flew it. I sat in my chair and I said, I'm going to do these things if I get shot at, right? So we're also going to talk when we get into the briefs about coming up with what I call an SOP, standard operating procedure. In these trades, I'm going to take profit at this point. In these trades, I'm going to eject for minimum loss at this point. You have got to have what we call an SOP, standard operating procedure. So when you get into a trade, before you ever even get into any trade, you know when you're getting out, either for max profit or minimum loss. Isn't this awesome? It's shocking to me when, again, bumping into regular retail traders, like they don't do this, okay? I'll share with you my SOP. And you can modify as yours, right? Okay. Step 6, kind of the Colin Powell part of our trade plan. This is step 7, the exit. Like I just said, you know when you're getting out of it before you get into it, right? When you hit it, do it. The side of mountains and the bottom of the ocean has a lot of bodies of dead Navy, Marine, Air Force, Army aviators. Why? Because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. If the manual and everything says to do that, you should probably do it. Now, again, back to the PIC concept, pilot in command. The first page of a Navy flight manual says this: nothing in this manual takes the place of good head work and judgment of the pilot in command. Translation: you can deviate from these procedures, and if it's successful, we'll give you a medal. If not, we're going to pull your wings and throw you out or throw you in jail. So there's a fine line between zero and hero, okay? But just know you are the pilot in command. But check this out. We didn't even place the trade yet, and we know everything that we can, right? There's always that unknown. Donald Rumsfeld sitting on our shoulder here, but we did a pretty damn good job of putting everything together into a suitcase so we can trade successfully. That's the discipline, folks. The biggest thing that I can impart to you is that this isn't hard. The hardest part of trading and me teaching you how to be a successful options trader will be that, the discipline, right? I'll be Sister Mary Matthew with a ruler and crack your knuckles at various times, folks, because I've done this, right? At Top Gun Options, we've been around for 10 years. We trained literally thousands, tens of thousands of folks here. And that's the recurring theme, is you have to be disciplined. Stick to your plan. Okay? Stick to your plan. Look at that, man. Where's I actually have my naval observatory. I'm 3 minutes over. Well, that was stupid. Okay. Like I said, full throttle week is awesome. This is awesome. It's a lot of work out of me. It's a lot of brain energy and stuff like that. But we only do these. We do these maybe once a quarter. We're a closed knit squadron, man. So if you notice, I don't blast emails all the time and this and that and webinar. We get 50 new people, and we get airborne, and we stay quiet, and we're professionals. So hopefully you downloaded your Options Pocket checklist, also your trade plan. Go to Staples tomorrow, or maybe you just got one lying around. Get a journal, a trade plan together so you can take notes, start writing down your SOP and all of that stuff. And make sure you, let me go back over here, you bookmark your the replay page over here. Do me a favor, if you, I mean, it would be good to go watch these are good. This was the beginning of the pandemic, and man, we nailed it. So I'm keeping these up here forever because it's proof we nailed it, and we're gonna have a great year. Okay, and yeah, somebody just asked if you don't have it, you can download the trade plan and the options pocket checklist on this replay page as well. This replay will be up here, I don't know, in about 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, good stuff. Tomorrow afternoon, high noon, weekly options brief. Weekly options, a little bit more tactical. I'm usually a 50 delta on that. I'm like, leading with weekly options it's tactical, but I love opening the doors and showing you exactly what we're doing. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. Any other questions, concerns, smart remarks? I think we're good to go. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, welcome aboard Top Gun Options and our Full Throttle program. You got 4 more briefs to go. If you can't make it, the replay will be placed on these replay pages here. Okay? Sound like a plan? You're welcome. Good stuff, folks. All right. Have a great rest of your night. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and God bless. I'll see you guys all tomorrow at high noon. We'll see you.